All right. Well, we had a this has all been kind of a preamble to a larger topic because it's a rare occurrence when the wrestling world gets set on fire with new product. But man, no matter your take, you cannot deny that MJF is doing some things and getting some eyeballs and ears on the product. And we're going to discuss all the what we think what's going on and what it means. But I got to ask you, you've seen the what some people are calling the MJF pipe bomb. You've seen this, correct?
Yeah, and let me mention something too, because we talked about, just to make sure this all goes in sync with the last recording, on the December 29th show, Saturday night on TBS. Doc and I talked about MJF and AEW, and what happened. Do we think it's a work? We both said it's a work. Doc, didn't like the fact that he walked out on paying customers, but
Well, and
again,
I
the
have
context of
I
the
want
work.
to add to that thought that it's a work later. I've been doing some thinking about this.
Okay, well that's fair. So,
Because you
um,
know what? And I want to make this point. I'm not trying to be smarmy to the people, but we talk about this all the time. It's okay to change your opinion in life when you get new information or think about something in a different way.
boy, you said a mouthful, and that is 100% the truth. I don't
It's
think
okay to
society likes
evolve
that
your
nowadays.
it's okay to evolve your thinking.
There's a segment of our society that just doesn't get that.
And
Like,
that's not political. That's both sides. I'm gonna say it. That's both sides. That's most people.
it ain't even politics. It's religion. It's life. Like, that's
Everything.
everything right now. It's everything. Like, a statement is made and people cast judgment on that person for eternity. I'm like, wait, maybe they were educated after the fact, and that's how they changed their mind. They're like, oh, I didn't realize that. You know, don't get me wrong. There's some pieces of shit out there. I am not saying that either, but yeah,
So
you're allowed to change your mind, especially when it comes to wrestling. Good lord, of all things to not take so serious. Why are you talking about it like it's real? Remember that little
well,
thing with
we
the
are
show?
gonna talk about this like it's real. Last week on Dynamite, post stretcher job at the pay-per-view, MJF comes out and he cuts, and we're going to play it here, a 7 minute and 13-second promo in which he outlines his frustrations with the company. And I don't know, are you ready to play it and then we can chop it up on the other side?
Um, sure. Let me go to it now. So here is MGF's promo from Dynamite. Here we go.
I am in a lot of pain right now after what happened on Sunday. But all you people want to do is hear me talk, right? That's what you want, right? You want to hear me talk? I'll talk. But this is Max Friedman talking. Big merger, boss. A lot of important executives here tonight to watch your product. Would be a real shame if something bad happened. I wouldn't want to embarrass you, man. Speaking of embarrassing, you've been trying to sit down with me to hash things out for quite some time now, haven't you? Well, guess what? Too little, too late. Here's why. When this company first started, it was all friends wrestling. Everybody was handed a ticket, except for me. See, I had to write my own. And boy, do I have good penmanship, because I created moment after moment after moment for this company, and I still get no respect. Nobody is on my level. No one. Everything I touch turns to gold. There is nothing I can't do. Every time I come out here, I am not expected a weekly basis. See, all the other boys, they get to settle for being great. I have to be perfect because I'm the 26-year-old who is constantly held under a microscope because I'm the only guy who is capable of carrying this company on my back as I have for months. It's funny I hear boos, but I also hear clapping. That's interesting. That's interesting. Where were you guys? Where were you guys this whole weekend when you were calling me an unprofessional piece of shit? I'm just curious. You're not the only problem. No, it's the boys in the back too. Because the boys in the back all want my spot. Well, guess what? You want my spot, you can have it. Because I don't want to be here anymore. Now let's talk about you fans, huh? You people call yourself fans. You're not fans. You're uneducated marks. You sit there on your phones tweeting out your opinions like they're worth a damn. Let me explain something to you people. You don't know shit. Your opinions suck. Your opinions change at the drop of a dime, and then you pretend your new opinions are the same as your old. For example, man, I always knew MJF was a good wrestler. Really? That's interesting. Because last time I checked, you guys pretended I sucked in the ring for a long time. And why is that, huh? Because I'm not untrained like all your faves? Because I don't pretend to watch New Japan? Because I don't dump my opponents on their head? Because I'm not reckless? What is it? Is it because I'm not chasing star ratings, guys? What is it? How could I possibly be the best? Well, newsflash, I am the best! I'm the best in the world! Because I'm the only guy who makes you feel. And unlike all those boys, I don't gotta do a bunch of bullshit to get you there. I am a generational talent, and you people consistently take me for granted, but it's not just you. It's the big man in the back, too. Here's something you guys can't take for granted. Here's something he doesn't want you to know. Do you guys know who the second biggest minute-for-minute draw is in this entire company? Nope, you wish. It's me. It's me. And if you don't believe me, do me a favor. Ask Stat Boy Tony in the back, see what he's got to say. But whatever you do, don't ask him to reach into his pockets and pay the man who's been busting his ass for him since day one. No. Make sure he hoards all that money. Make sure he hoards all that money so he can give it to all the new ex-WWE guys he keeps bringing in. That can't lace my goddamn boots. Would you treat me better if I was an ex-WWE guy? See, maybe you don't get it, man. Here's the problem with you, boss. You got a position of power in a wrestling company when the only position you should be assuming is behind the guardrail with all of them. I don't want to wait till 2024, but you don't listen to me, so allow me to make it a little bit easier for you. Tony, I want you to fire me. Tony, don't count me down, you piece of shit! Shut your mouth! Look at me, Tony. Look at me. I want you to fire me. You fire me!
Okay, that's the broadcast that beeped him and not me. As we know, he called him a effing mark. Doc, a lot to unpack there, so why don't you go first? Give me your thoughts on this thing. Doc?
Here's my I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
I thought you were on mute.
I was on mute. They were out there working in the yard, pal. We all got yard people because that's big time podcaster world.
Just so you know, I cut my own grass. When we talk about people being cheap, Doc doesn't. He pays someone. So just pointing that out. Just pointing that out. Okay.
Okay. So here's how I've evolved my thinking on this. It's a work, and we're going to talk about that. It started as a shoot. He was mad about pay. The shoe to drop is whether or not they've already resolved it and they're just going to turn it into a work and do this, or if they're leaning into it and seeing where it lands. But to me, the tip off of work is when he said, "That's a nice merger you got going on. Be a shame if something bad happened." His mic would have been cut then.
No, the tip off to it being a work is he got a live freaking mic for
That's
7 damn minutes to
True.
air out his quote unquote grievances. Like no boss is going to let you do that.
But what corporate environment would that not be the end of what you got to say?
In what corporate environment would it have never gotten to the point where you're on a live mic?
That's 100% true, but we're here.
Okay. Yeah.
And
fair.
but here's the other thing I want to say. I want to shelve this last piece that I've been thinking about a lot. Is where does all this go? We'll talk about that in a minute. For what it is, I don't care if it's a shoot or a work, because first of all, I'm entertained. And that is the name of the game, is to be entertained watching wrestling. Am I wrong there?
100% agree. I'm entertained.
He got my attention there, and I was entertained by the words coming out of his mouth and the way he expressed them. I thought he channeled 3 different promo / styles in this. I thought there was some Flair Bischoff in him. I thought there was some CM Punk pipe bomb. And there was some classic ECW all mixed together stylistically there. What do you think?
I think that's a good analysis of it. But I want to repeat, everything about this screams work. People people lathering themselves up thinking, no, it's real. Well, I do agree with something you said. The thing that makes it good is, at least from what I believe, I think there's a lot of truth in what he says, and also the perception of a lot of non-AEW fans, when he talks about, because he uses Cornette's term that I remember Cornette when he first started talking about this stuff back before, when he said he was never going to review it again because Jericho pissed him off so bad. And then he continued reviewing it for 2 more years. And I think he's still doing it. I don't know for sure, but I think so because I see the tweets.
Oh, he is. I listen.
Okay, so he's speaking. I think there's truth in what he's saying, and I think he believes some of it, and he looks at some of it and is like, yeah, man, this is a joke, all friends wrestling. He wasn't Cody or the Bucks where, it was rolled out for him. Don't get me wrong. He had a nice spot from the start, but I 100% believe he wasn't one of the higher paid guys. And yet he's one guy one of only a few guys who actually moved the needle on that show. But even before like the quote unquote former WWE talent came in. I mean, and some of them are considered former WWE from the start. I mean, Jericho technically, I guess, is WCW, WWE, whatever. My point is, like, he was moving the needle with any of the bigger names on that show before any of the Danielsons and the Punks came in. And that's nothing against Punk and Danielson. It's just a fact. And I do think that, like, everything he's saying, he either feels or has felt at some point, or there are also people in the locker room who feel or have felt that currently. And he's speaking for the people. The funny part about all of it is, like, if you think that's not a work, like, stop. It's obviously
7 minutes.
Yeah, they gave him. He's on a live mic for 7 minutes to air his grievances. He's working to it.
In a corporate environment, when they like you, you got about 30 seconds, and it better be professional.
Yeah. So I mean, there's so much work in this. But going back to what I was saying, the dude, he's speaking truths. So here's what it does. There's a segment of wrestling fans out there who hate AEW, and I'm not an AEW fan. I think they do I don't want to say handful. They do some things fine and good, and then there's stuff that we've talked about over the years that's just trash. And there's a segment of the audience that's like, man, this it's ridiculous. And I think some of their fans, I think actually some of WWE's fans, both fan bases are toxic with their stupidity on Twitter. Like, they get too worked up about it.
Can I remind you some of the nonsense that we just saw in 1990? Norman, Juicer. Yeah. There's always been stupid.
Always been stupid. And as I continue, so there's a segment of fans for both audiences, WWE and AEW, because some of them don't cross over. I think a lot more cross over than people believe. But there's a segment of fans that just, they don't cross, like, they're brand loyal to their product, okay? And so while again, I think this is a work. I think he's spitting lots of truths. And I think the irony behind this is he's saying things that I believe the brand loyal WWE people who caught wind of this go, oh, damn, like, he's spitting fire. And he is. So, like, for me, I think that, I don't know whose idea this is, while it is laced in truths and is a work, I think is brilliant because I feel like it brings in that crowd from over there that goes, well, shit, they finally got somebody on TV telling the truth and telling it like it is, with their bull crap and the Bucks and all this other hot garbage they put on TV. I think it's kind of brilliant. Now, I don't think it turns into Monday Night Wars, 8 million people watching this station and that station. No, them days are gone. That ain't happening no more. The TV landscape is completely different, the way, cable and streaming services is, and digital platforms and all that nonsense. But he's speaking to a core group that hates Tony Khan. Like, and he's like championing their thoughts.
Okay, so let me ask you something.
It's brilliant from that point of view, if that's the intent, and I think that's part of the intent.
Is it also possible, and this has been, there's been, that this is similar to, or they're aping off the Pillman loose cannon, and I think there's some of that in there, but the question becomes for me is a guy that's so true to his character also still working Tony?
Oh, I think so.
So if I'm Tony Khan, first of all, I'm getting this little bastard tied up to a long-term deal for whatever he wants. Because regardless of work, shoot, whatever labels you want to put on it, he can entertain. He is a throwback. He is a talent. Generational talent. He said it. And somebody who Cornette said his long lost son at one point, and he can get heat in 2022. He's in some ways a unicorn in that respect. And if I'm Tony, I'm getting his name on a contract yesterday. That being said, MJF either way is signed to 2024. It doesn't help him to be disruptive on the way out. It helps him with WWE to continue to build. Where do they go with this storyline wise now?
So
because you've always said something to me. Let me say this: you always said something to me. Well, that's a great idea, but what do you do next?
Is
MJF? And this is the last. Is MJF now a babyface?
To that audience that I was talking about earlier. You said something about Tony needs to lock him up. Tony needs to get him under contract. Here's why I hate wrestling in 2022, where everything is known. There's too much out there that's already known. So the minute he locks him up and does sign him to his long contract, I feel like it kind of cools off the story, because it's like, oh, he's talking all this.
Unless they keep it super under wrap.
They would have to. They would have to not tell anyone. I mean, literally, it would have to be Tony and MJF that knew that. Now you asked, so I would hope that would be the case, because again, the minute the wrestling media is worse than the pro football and NBA media. They're the worst. They are these morons in the wrestling media who dude, you want to talk about, I'm not even going to say the M word. They are pathetic. They will buy this stuff, and like there were 2 high-level media people who, after we recorded the other night, I read some stuff about, and they bought the hook, line, and sinker on him buying his flight, and they're reporting it like it's news, like it's legitimate news. Everybody
wants a newsletter.
Bro, and I'm not mentioning names, but there are 2 in particular, and people know who they are on Twitter. They were reporting it like, oh, he left and he bought his own ticket, and just hook, line, and sinker. So, I mean, everybody wants to be worked. But back to what I was saying. So where do they go from here? Here, like, to me, that's the challenge. What do you do? Because he's in a feud with Tony Khan, the owner, or the
right.
Like, I don't.
And so after this went off the air, Punk came out and chased him out. Okay, so if Punk becomes the embodiment of the company because he's the world champ for Tony, then you sort of messed up, because you've already given people the Punk MJF. Now, are those 2 guys talented enough to run it back? Of course they are. And would they do a great job? Of course they will. But there's a little bit of shine off of it because you just did it. And it was good too, but you just did it. That's got to be the way, because Tony needs to stay out of the ring. He's too ADD and too manic for this.
There's nothing about this. Does not need to be MJF and Tony Khan. I'm fine with Punk, him and Punk taking this, because there's a spin on that with, Punk used to be a voice of the quote unquote people, and maybe he still is to, again, a segment of the audience. That's the thing. There's no clear cut baby faces and heels generally anymore. Like MJF here, he's a heel to a segment of wrestling fans, and he's a baby face to another segment. He's a baby face right now to the WWE fans that do crossover. He's a babyface. To the WWE fans that have never watched but watched this, I mean, he's a babyface to them. To the AEW fans, they're mad at him. And if Punk now ends up in a feud with him, which, look, I'm not saying that's probably the best way to go, because again, Tony Khan does not need to be an on-air personality. I'm tired of hearing from him already, and I don't even watch the product weekly religiously. I catch the clips on YouTube and things like that. Like that's how I consume it, or I scan it on a DVR. This does not need to be MJF versus Tony. The fact that Punk chased them out, again, a little bit of irony there, because Punk with his WWE pipe bomb years ago, and if you want to call this a quote unquote pipe bomb, then yeah, I don't. This does not need to be MJF and Tony. Nothing about Boogie. Nothing about this screams computer technology. I do not want to see Tony Khan. Nothing about you screams computer and technology. Actually, that's true for you, but not for Boogie. That doesn't make sense. I'm with you, Doc. It needs to be like Punk and MJF if that's how they do move forward.
I agree. There's a story you could tell about Punk became what he hated, and he's trying to say, and he realizes his mistakes and how you work with the system, and he's now trying to save MJF, a kid that looked up to him as a kid, from making the same mistakes and being out of the business for so long as he did. There's some story there, but they got to get there. And that's okay. They have time. Hey, they could be building this to be a multi-year storyline anyway. Hey, MJF could have come to Tony. We don't know, and that's okay. I don't need to know. But MJF could have said, "Look, Tony, I appreciate everything you've done for me. You've given me a platform, but I got to go to the WWF. It's my lifelong dream. WWE. I'm leaving in 2024. It doesn't matter what you say, but because you've helped me, I'm gonna do my best to go out on a high and make this cool." We don't know.
Yeah, we don't. But
And
this
so
is 100% of work.
my suggestion is to enjoy what you get when you get it. And this was great. The only thing I didn't like is when he said he's the second highest minute by minute draw. A generational talent would be first.
I think that just layers truth into the promo. I think it lays truth into it. Just, I mean, I don't know. Part of that's like the humble thing too. Like he's being humble, but he's also telling some facts that the AEW folks don't want to hear. Look, man, I said it years ago, Doc, on this show. Years ago. I said I'm so tired of hearing all these AEW top people, the Bucks, Cody, look where he's at now, with the it's great, the environment here is wonderful, blah blah blah. I got so tired of hearing that stuff, and they proved me right that I was right in saying they were all full of crap because Cody left for his reasons. MJF is spitting truths here. I know it's a work, but he's also spitting truths. There's a lot of people who are lower on the totem pole in that company that look at that environment and say, this is horse crap. Like, this whole spin about everything's peaches and cream. There's not a work environment in America, where everything's perfect. And the more people tell you everything's perfect, the more reason to believe everything is far from perfect in peaches and cream.
There's a lot of truth in what you just said. And then you take any work environment, but then you take wrestlers who, we're not Johnny Valentine anymore. But there's some carny in some of these guys still.
Ego,
and there's TV time, and there's money, and there's lots of money, potential for more money. I mean, you take any random sample of 10 wrestlers, whether they're your friends or not, and how many of them do you think y'all would have all gotten along for how long? I mean, come on. Do a JR. I mean, come on.
I've told you before, Doc, even on the low life independent level,
just backstabbing and
oh my God,
dirty dealing, and it's like a damn AC/DC song. Dirty deals done dirt cheap.
That's what I'm saying, man. Even on a low life independent level, it's a fact, man. Like there's the egos, even when you're making next to nothing, are incredible. So trust me, like there's just.
You think the Young Bucks liked FTR fighting the Briscoes and stealing WrestleMania weekend?
Hell no.
You think that the Young Bucks are 100% happy the Hardy Boys are in the territory? You think everybody's happy that Moxley and Danielson came in.
Mm-mm. Nope.
I mean, and think about all of ours. Everybody listen, your work environment. Somebody new shows up. Who's this motherfucker? That's your first thought.
That's exactly right.
Not, oh boy, welcome to the team, or we've been waiting on you. It's somebody in that room's looking side out across and going, who is this son of a bitch? It's going to take me about half of this first morning to get them set straight.
Doc did that to me when he first met me, y'all. That's why he's saying it like that.
I thought you were Muslim.
Jesus Christ.
Not that that's a bad thing. I just
all because I watch what I eat. That's it.
You were
all because I watch what I eat.
Yeah.
That's the only reason he said that. It's because I watch what I eat.
But that was the only thing I had to go on.
Because I'm a very private person.
I was like, that's it. It wasn't a bad judgment. I was just trying to fill in the gaps, fill in the holes.
Fair enough. Funny.
But my suggestion for everybody is to relax and enjoy. Because this guy is good. I hope they book it right. I hope it works out right. But I have a feeling that even if they don't, he's going to entertain us along the way. And Jesus, after watching Raw and Dynamite this past week, because basketball's coming to an end and football's not here, entertaining is short supply across these shows. So I'm on board.
Yeah. Look, man, it's not something I want to sit down every 2 hours on Wednesday every week, but at the end of it, take me for a ride, man. Make me at least
try to work me.
That's it. Like, I feel wrestling, like I've said before, wrestling ruins you, and you can't assess it seriously because you're always looking for the angle. But that's the part of it that I think we all want. We all want to doubt that what we're seeing. You're like, oh wait, I know this whole thing is a work, but man, he might be real here. And that's the main thing to take from this. It's a work, but listen to what he's saying. I just wholeheartedly believe there's a lot of real stuff in there.
Blurred lines.
Yeah, a lot of blurred lines, and that's what makes wrestling the thing we liked about it. That's why we grew up watching it, and that's why when Magnum and Tully were throwing live rounds on TV, that's what we bought, and we're like, holy shit, we know that. Well, we may not have realized it was a work at that point in our life, but we look at that and go, dude, as in our 40s, we look at it and go, I know they're working, but you can't tell me that's not live rounds they're throwing off. I mean, you could hear the fist hitting flesh.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made you believe, and you build up to that match with the I Quit match where, damn near 40 years later, we're still talking about it.
Like it's real.
Because it was, in a sense. It's so that's what you want. But it does, we'll see where this goes. We definitely believe they're working for sure. I mean, there's no other way to put it. They're working. They got to be working. But it's entertaining nonetheless. And I sent Doc a text. I said, MJF just torched the earth. Go listen to it or watch it whenever you get home from soccer. And I think you're glad I probably told you to do that.
I wouldn't. I probably would have heard something and gone and seen it. But yeah, I was like, I mean, shit. Here, shouldn't we all be so lucky in our 40s to be texting each other about the current product and go, you probably need to go see that.
Yeah, because how rare. I mean, that's a rare thing, right?
Right. And it's why we got into this in the first place is showing up at school the next day, or I'd show up at church the next morning after Saturday Night Wrestling and be like, man, did you see the Freebirds last night? Holy shit. That's the fun of it.
Whole fun of it. That's the whole thing. I mean, that's it.
Well, you know
that's
what's not going to be fun?
What's that?
All these errands we got to go run.
Boy, you ain't lying about that. We got stuff to do because that's our lives as old men now. So any closing thoughts on MJF and everything we've discussed today?
I've said it, man. Enjoy the ride. Be entertained. Don't think too hard about it. Let the wrestling journalists get it all wrong.
Jesus. You want to talk about people who take themselves too seriously?
For no reason.
Those dudes, the ones who cover current wrestling, holy crap. They can't smell a work when it's in front of their face. They promote lies and horse crap
for clicks.
Nonstop clicks. I said what I said, man. Look, we all got egos. I'm not, as Michael Angel says, we like to pat ourselves on the back. Actually, he's told me I like to pat myself on the back. But I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. Reading the stuff from the MJF weekend in Las Vegas and then after Wednesday night, oh, God. These fools really worked themselves into a shoot.
And that's what makes this shit fun.
Yep. All right. Anything else, Doc?
No, man, let's get out of here.
All right. Well, this part will probably get on YouTube, but much of the other stuff early on didn't. So if you're a patron, thank you for being a patron. Appreciate your support. Thanks for continuing to support the show in this hyperinflation that we're dealing with, Doc. Good God, it's getting out of control. Things cost way too much money. So anybody out there who has remained a patron, thank you for doing so. And if you enjoy what we do here, the YouTube channel is a small segment of our audience. Come listen to us every single week on the main show. You'll get a lot more old school shenanigans there. And become a patron if you're not one at tinyurl.com/PatreonBTT. We'd appreciate it if you do so. If you're already a patron, thank you. All right, Doc, I think that's it, man. Let's roll. Let's get out of here. Hit the tagline unless you got something else.